Golf Pick'em Expert Picks. Brought to you by FootJoy.
Welcome into another week of Golf Pick'em, the free-to-play game on the NBC Sports Predictor app. And Nick, we're here. We're going to talk about the Honda Classic. But first, I want to mention
we have news.
We've got a winner. We've got a $50,000 grand prize winner. Shout out to Uber Dave, who nailed all 6 matchups last week at the Mexico Championship. He had Patrick Reed. He had the exact winning score. He is $50,000 richer. That is the upside of entering free-to-play on the NBC Sports Predictor app.
And now the people have our expertise to pull it off for the second week in a row.
There you go. No pressure. We're going to try this again. We're going to go, as we said, for the Honda Classic. And I want to start with the 2 guys who finished second last year in T2, Ricky Fowler, Brooks Koepka. Who's going to have a better week at PGA?
I like Fowler because he was so disappointed coming off that West Coast swing where he was adamant. He wanted to get a trophy earlier in the year, and it just didn't happen for him. He didn't play last week in Mexico like Brooks. In fact, he's been off for 3 weeks. He's a history of success at this event. He's won here, like you said, second last year. I think he's motivated. He's rested. He's going to come out. He's going to play well this week.
Nick, Brooks Koepka hasn't done much this year so far. He's down to 3rd in the world rankings. That's as far as he's been in about a year. Perfect time to buy low on the Brooks Koepka stock. This is like loading up on Apple. I'm all in on Brooks having a great week in his backyard. He's a Palm Beach County guy. Finished second, as we know, last year, as did Fowler. But I think in a relatively weak field, he's the only top 10 guy in the field. This is his time to shine. I think Brooks is the guy to take over Fowler this week. Next up on our matchup list, Nick, we've got a pair of Englishmen, both former Ryder Cup stars, Justin Rose, Ian Poulter. Who do you like this week?
Justin Rose with 3 top 10s at this event. That being said, he hasn't played here in 5 years, so bear that in mind. But this is a guy who tends to raise his game on the hardest golf courses. Palm Beach Gardens, PGA National, absolutely one of the hardest tracks on tour, and that's why I like him, a guy who's won at Marriott, at Aronimink, at Cog Hill, at Muirfield Village, at a host of difficult tracks. I think he could add PGA National to that list.
Shocking that you, the Philly guy, got a Marion and an Aronimink mention in there. I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go with Ian Poulter, who nearly won this event back in 2015 when he got a little case of the S words down the stretch. Ball started veering off in the wrong direction, but he plays well, tee to green, and over the last 2 starts in Europe, granted, but he's got top 20 finishes.
Top 20s.
Yeah, so he's playing well. Justin Rose, I'm not sure the momentum is exactly on his side right now. I'm going to go with Poulter.
Up next on our list, a pair of premier ball strikers in the game, Tommy Fleetwood versus Louis Oosthuizen. I'll go first. I'm taking Fleetwood.
Tell me more.
In his last 5 starts, he's not finished outside the top 20. In 3 of those, he was either first or second. Both guys were in the field last week in Mexico. Neither one of them did great. Fleetwood did a little bit better, and I trust him more as a week-in, week-out performer. I want Fleetwood over Oosthuizen. Who you got? 2
of the sweetest swings on tour. You can't go wrong with either one of them, but I'm with you. I'm going to go with Tommy Fleetwood, who was 4th here a couple years ago. This is a course that really accentuates iron play, and there's no one, or there are very few players that are better on the PGA Tour with long irons in hand than Tommy Fleetwood. He already has a runner-up to his credit this calendar year. He's played this course before. He's played well. I know Oosthuizen has as well. He's got a pair of top 25s at the Honda before, but I'm going to give the edge to the Englishman. Give me Tommy Fleetwood. All right, Nick, our next matchup looks at 2 major winners from 2019 who haven't done a ton since capturing those trophies. Gary Woodland, Shane Lowry. Who's your pick?
I'm going to go with Woodland, who, yes, while he's been quiet since the U.S. Open win, the results are quietly piling up. He's got 4 top 12s this year. It was 2 top 5s in Asia. He's coming off a 12th place finish last week in Mexico, and he's had some success at this event. He's got 2 top 6 finishes, including a runner-up here back in 2017. So, yeah, it's been quiet, but he's trending. I'm going with Woodland.
That's a quiet trend, and I think that Shane Lowry is actually moving in a similar direction. He's got 2 top 15 finishes in Europe. He was second in Hong Kong in early January. I'm actually going to give him the edge. I know that Woodland has the track record at Honda, but I feel like Lowry plays tough golf courses as well. You look at his victory at Portrush. He's won at Firestone. He contended at Oakmont. He likes the sort of golf that the PGA National Champion course puts forth, where you got to keep it in the fairway, you've got to keep the ball in front of you and avoid the thick rough. I think that he could have a big week, and I'm going to give him ever so slightly the edge over Woodland. Nick, our next matchup includes the guy who led the U.S. team at the most recent Ryder Cup, Jim Furyk, and the guy who's going to lead Europe at the next Ryder Cup, Padraig Harrington, who incidentally won this event back in 2015. Who is your pick among two veterans?
A two-time winner of this event.
That's
Padraig
right.
Harrington.
That's right.
He's not that guy anymore, for the record. So he's outside the top 300 in the world right now. Jim Furyk, his last two starts notwithstanding, is significantly more likely to make a cut than Padraig Harrington at this stage of their careers. Prior to Pebble, Furyk had made 9 in a row. Padraig's missed 5 of his last 7. And, Jim actually had a top 10 finish here last year during a resurgent spring. He's aging like a fine wine, is Mr. Furyk, and I'll take Furyk this week.
I totally agree. Listen, you're right. He had the T9 finish here last year. That springboard effect went into his runner-up finish at the Players. Even though he's pushing 50, he's going to turn 50 later this spring. Still plenty of game in the tank, and he's a guy who's going to avoid the rough. He's going to keep the ball straight. I think he's got the edge over Padraig. All right, Nick, the last matchup of the week includes two guys who at this time a year ago were teammates at Oklahoma State. Now they're both winners on the PGA Tour, Matthew Wolff and last week's winner in Puerto Rico, Viktor Hovland.
I'm going with Wolff because we've seen so many times in this spot, it's so hard to come off that first win and immediately roll into the next week and have continued success. I know Wolff's missed his last 2 cuts. Didn't play last week. He's rested. He doesn't have the pressure of trying to follow up and reassert himself as a PGA Tour winner. I love them both for the future, but for this week, I like Wolff.
There is no pressure on Viktor Hovland. He's a winner now on the tour. He's got a 2-year exemption. He's locked up. He's trying to play his way into the top 50 for the Masters. He is better tee to green than Matt Wolff is. Matt Wolff has not done that much since winning that 3M Open in dramatic fashion. Listen, as long as Viktor Hovland can avoid the areas around the greens, he said, "I suck at chipping." That is admittedly a red flag.
It's a good quote.
But I do think the tee to green, he has the edge, and I'm not at all worried about a hangover effect. I think he's going to keep rolling right on through. We saw early in the year how strong he is in putting 18 straight rounds in the 60s together. He's the full package. I got him.
So you'll take Hovland, I'll take Wolff, but who do you want as your winner this week at the Honda?
So last week I went a little off-brand. I went with Hideki, who actually contended, so I felt like that was a close miss. I'm going to, again, go a little off the beaten path. Give me Daniel Berger, who was a playoff runner-up here back in 2015, lost to Padraig Harrington. He missed some time recently with the wrist injury, is playing his way back. He's got 3 top 10s in his last few starts, and I think that he is trending in the right direction. He's another Palm Beach County guy. He's played this course since he was 10 years old. I'm going to get Daniel Berger as my guy who's going to have a big week and potentially win.
We talked about earlier about Rose showing up on difficult golf courses, and I'm inclined to stick with it. I think that he contends this week, and more than that, I think he gets the W on a very difficult golf course that should set up well for the kind of golf that he likes to play.
Those are our picks. Remember, get on the NBC Sports Predictor app, make your picks in Golf Pick'em for the Honda Classic, and maybe you, like Uber Dave, could win $50,000. Get your picks in. We'll see you next week.